Welcome to the Daily's Double Shot.
I'm Austin Siedentopf.
And I'm Evelyn Osborn.
Up first, a UW freshman becomes the first Tetris player outside of Japan to earn the rank Grandmaster.
Stuart Marlantis brings us up to speed on internet browsers.
We get a rundown of what it was like to attend the Apple Cup.
David Chrisman reviews the new movie Shame.
We look back at the Swing Kids quarterly dance.
We check out some recycled clothing stores on the Ave.
And finally, we profile a talented member of the UW Photography Club.
All coming up
on today's Double Shot.
Ooh, what is that? Chinese.
Yeah.
I'll see you there. Okay.
Coming up first this week, we speak with a UW student who has become one of the best Tetris players in the world.
Kevin Burrell earned the ranking of Grandmaster, a title held by only 5 people worldwide.
Let's take a look.
UW freshman Kevin Burrell has recently been named a Tetris Grandmaster, the highest rank in competitive Tetris and an honor held by only 5 people in the world.
When I first got the grade, I was just completely amazed. I think I jumped out of my chair, almost knocked it over backwards and started running around my house screaming, and I think I may have woken up the neighbors. It was entirely ridiculous.
Invented in the Soviet Union in 1984, Tetris is one of the most popular and iconic video games of all time.
I like that it's a very simple game to play. Anyone can play Tetris. I mean, you can just tell them that the pieces fall and that you're supposed to line them up in clear lines. Every time you fill a line, it clears. Anyone can understand that. But at the same time, only 3 people in the world, actually 5 now, have attained the highest rating in this game. So it's extremely difficult to master.
Simplicity aside, earning the rank of Grandmaster is an incredibly difficult task.
And the grades go from 9 to 1, S1 to S9, and then in the later games, M1 to M9, and then Master and Grandmaster, which are the 2 top grades. And in order to get those, you have to play extremely well throughout the game. And then at the end of the game, there's a 60-second, the credits roll over the game screen. And you then have to play 60 seconds of invisible Tetris, which is where all the pieces except the current one that you're playing, that you're moving around, are invisible. So you have to memorize your stack and then try and not die for 60 seconds. If you can do that, then you get the Grandmaster grade.
Because this version of the game is only available in Japan, Burrell plays with an imported arcade setup that he can hook up to a TV or monitor. His preferred controller is an arcade stick.
You are allowed to use a keyboard or even a gamepad, like a PS2 controller or a 360 controller that's been adapted to work with the arcade game. Most people really play the game with the stick because I personally believe that it's the most optimal method. I feel that it allows you to do fastest inputs every time you try.
Looking forward, Burrell hopes to improve his time and become more competitive in the team events. However, Tetris is not the only thing he competes in.
Recently, I've got really into pinball, actually. There's a big competitive pinball scene in Seattle and nationwide and now worldwide with tournaments that have prizes of over $5,000. And I've really been working on that lately, more so than Tetris even, just because I'm so burned out from it.
Burrell's success came as the result of incredible discipline and drive.
I just don't like half-heartedly putting effort into something. Maybe it's to my own detriment, but I really feel that if I'm going to put effort and time into something at all, I need to really go full-heartedly about it and, work to become the best at it.
Be on the lookout for more from Burrell in the future.
In our next segment, Stuart Marlantis discusses web browsers.
I wonder what the best browser is to play Tetris on.
I'm sure Stuart would be happy to help you with that.
Well, in the meantime, let's watch the next episode of Tech Talk.
Access to the incredible resource that is the internet is handled through one specific tool, the web browser. The history of web browsers is very colorful. Some were hated, some grew quickly, and many disappeared forever. Very few pieces of software have seen the intense development of the web browser. That development has led to the 5 choices featured here today. Microsoft's Internet Explorer debuted on August 16, 1995. It was embroiled in the first major round of the browser wars, eventually beating out Netscape Navigator for user count supremacy, and it holds that title to this day, now with about 39% of overall market share. Internet Explorer today has come a long way since its first release. The current version, 9, is a decently respectable browser. The Internet Explorer 10 beta included in the developer preview of Windows 8 is even better, light, fast, and clean. Internet Explorer's market share has been steadily dropping, however, even with all these improvements. The bane of web developers everywhere, version 6, has irreversibly stained its name, but only time will tell what will happen to Internet Explorer. Apple got into the browser game quite late. On January 7, 2003, it released Safari. Technically, Safari was a triumph. It was extremely stable on Mac OS X and incorporated a new, superior rendering engine. However, Safari never captured a significant portion of the market. Now it is responsible for approximately 8% of internet traffic. Despite that, it is a relatively nice choice, especially if you're on a Mac. Google's Chrome made a huge splash when it was first released as a beta on September 2, 2008. It also started the most recent browser design trend, focusing on minimalism and speed. Chrome has grown astoundingly fast and controlled just over 20% of the market during September 2011. It is also updated almost constantly and is already on version 15. The browser has continued to become more and more robust over time, even gaining an app store. It's an excellent choice because it's extremely secure, fast, and easy to use. Opera debuted publicly in 1996. It has proved to be one of the most feature-filled and innovative browsers from the start. It was the first to feature tabs, which is considered a browser necessity today. There is little doubt that Opera is the most sophisticated browser today, with ad blocking, fraud protection, a BitTorrent client, a download manager, an email and IRC chat client, and web feed aggregator all built in. It also includes a function titled Opera Turbo that offloads some page rendering to Opera's servers, speeding up your browsing if the connection is slow. Unfortunately, despite Opera's many strengths, it has even less users than Safari, with a paltry 2.7%. Personally, I'm continually baffled as to why this is. In many respects, Opera is the best browser around. Firefox, by the Mozilla Foundation, also has a long history. Its lineage can be traced back to Netscape Navigator. Mozilla Firefox, as it is known today, was formally released on November 9, 2004. Firefox has been the go-to browser for the web development community for quite some time, due to its focus on following web standards. It features almost everything you'd want from a modern web browser, and what it doesn't have can be easily added, as its add-on community is second to none. About 25% of internet users choose Firefox as their browser, making it the second most popular. And for good reason, it's a very strong choice. Thankfully, most browsers today are quite powerful, and choosing one largely depends on your own personal preference. However, I'd recommend Firefox for expandability, Chrome for simplicity, and Opera for sheer number of features. Thanks for watching Tech Talk. Questions and comments can be sent to techtalk@stuartmarlantis.com. See you next time.
Don't forget, you can always email Stuart with tech questions, like what's the best browser to play Tetris on, at techtalk@stuartmarlantis.com.
Is that what you're doing right now?
Maybe.
Up next, we see what it's like to go to the Apple Cup from a student perspective.
CenturyLink is the loudest stadium in professional football. It's been known to peak around 137 decibels, roughly the equivalent of a gunshot. It then seems fitting that the Huskies will be playing their entire 2012 season at Clink, to the amplified roar of their already boisterous fans. We get a taste of this new stadium on November 26th when we bowled over the Cougars in our third consecutive victory at the Apple Cup, with a final score of 38-21. The festivities started, as always, in the parking lots, under cover of erected tents. Tailgating provides fans of both sides an opportunity to mingle before the game, get pumped up, and allow Husky fans to show how much better they are than the Cougars by preparing better food and winning at various games, like Flip Cup.
Real cool.
A third consecutive victory against the Cougars. A symbolic victory, perhaps? Finally, as the bands finished practice, the players warmed up, the fans took to the stands, and the mascots put on a friendly show, it was time to start. The Huskies took the field. The Huskies started strong, taking advantage of some mistakes and scoring a touchdown in the first few minutes of the game. kept the momentum going, stayed solid enough for when the Cougars tried to rally, and ultimately took the cup home. Our own biases aside, the game was overall a success. Both teams had their moments, and spirits and camaraderie were high. The friendly rivalry between our Huskies and Wazoo's Cougars will pick up again next year, and the frenzy will resume.
So if I'm not into sports, what am I supposed to do on weekends?
You really don't get out of the studio enough, do you? I don't know, go see a movie. David Chrisman just did a review of Shame for Film Focus.
Okay, let's check it out.
Hello, I'm David Chrisman, and welcome back to Film Focus. Today, we'll be looking at Shame, directed by Steve McQueen, no, not the one you're thinking of, and starring Michael Fassbender. Shame is a film about a man named Brandon dealing with sex addiction, and his difficulties when his sister comes to live with him, breaking his ability to continue the lifestyle he's cultivated in order to feed his addiction. Actor Michael Fassbender might be familiar to some people as the actor who played Magneto in X-Men First Class, and if that film didn't convince you of his acting ability, Shame will. Fassbender's already won an award at the Venice Film Festival for his role, and the film has also won awards at several other festivals. This is only the second film by British director Steve McQueen, whose first film, Hunger, about the 1981 Irish hunger strikes, also starred Fassbender. One thing that struck me about this film was McQueen's use of colors. He uses the now quite familiar contrasting blue and orange color scheme that influences people towards being emotionally closed or open. What's different about Shame, though, is that almost all of it is in the blue side of the spectrum, making everything feel a little colder and less emotional. This means that when he does go for the orange filters, it's a huge effect, and the film can really change how you think about it. Shame is a very graphic film, fitting with the subject matter. In fact, it's been rated NC-17 due to its graphic nature, and as such will be screened much less. The president of Fox Searchlight, distributors of the film, said about the rating, "I think NC-17 is a badge of honor, not a scarlet letter. We believe it is time for the rating to become usable in a serious manner." I agree with him when it comes to this film. Even though there are many sex scenes, they're all in service of the story, and the eroticism is lacking because you know that you're watching a man essentially self-destructing. This film is very dark and not in a way that can be made fun of. If you're interested in going to see this film, be prepared for it mentally. This isn't one I'd recommend for everyone. It can be very hard to watch at times, and even in lighter moments, the tension that's built up doesn't go away completely. Despite the warning, Shame is still an excellent film and quite the experience. Just be sure to be ready for it, as it can give you quite the emotional and mental beating if you aren't. Even though it's very cliche, Shame is a film that you get out what you put into it. The film is a serious look at sex addiction, and it's unashamed about that. It's very graphic when it needs to be, but only when necessary. If you're ready for it, Shame can be an emotionally rewarding film, and something that you can take a lot from, but it isn't in any way a happy or nice movie. I'm sure some people will love Shame, but be prepared going in. Shame opened in theaters December 9th, yesterday, and will be out on DVD April next year.